The Crescent and the Crown, a saga of the Ottoman Empire. The story of the Ottoman Empire begins in the crucible of a shattered world. In the late 13th century, the great land of Anatolia, the Asian heartland of modern Turkey, was a chaotic frontier zone. The once mighty Byzantine Empire, fatally wounded by the Fourth Crusade, was a shadow of its former self, clinging precariously to a handful of coastal cities. The Seljuk Sultanate of Rum, the dominant Turkish power in the region, had been crushed by the Mongol invasions from the east. In the resulting power vacuum, Anatolia fragmented into a patchwork of small competing Turkish principalities known as beyliks. These were the lands of the Ghazi, fierce independent warriors for the faith of Islam. They were driven by a powerful ethos that combined the nomadic traditions of the Turkic steppe with a fervent desire to expand the frontiers of Dar al-Islam, the House of Islam, at the expense of the Christian Byzantines. It was a world of constant low-level warfare, of raids and counter-raids, where honor was won by the sword and loyalty was pledged to the most successful chieftain. Into this world of fire and faith, a new leader emerged from a small, insignificant tribe known as the Kaya. His name was Osman. Born around 1258, Osman was the son of a chieftain named Ertugrul, who had carved out a small domain for his people on the very edge of the Byzantine frontier, near the town of Sugut. As a young man, Osman proved himself to be a brilliant leader of men, a charismatic warrior, and a cunning strategist. He attracted a loyal following of other Ghazi warriors, drawn to his success and his reputation for piety and justice. The foundational myth of the Ottoman state, an empire that would one day rule millions, is rooted in a powerful dream. According to legend, while staying in the home of a respected holy man, Sheikh Edebali, Osman had a vision. In his dream, a moon rose from the chest of the holy man and entered his own. Then, a great tree sprouted from his navel. The tree grew in splendor until its mighty branches overshadowed the entire world, covering the mountains of the Caucasus, the Atlas, and the Taurus. From the roots of the tree flowed the four great rivers of the world, the Tigris, the Euphrates, the Danube, and the Nile. Great cities filled the lands beneath the branches, their domes and pyramids adorned with crescent moons. Suddenly, the leaves of the tree turned to scimitars, and a great wind turned them towards the greatest city of all, the city at the junction of two seas and two continents, Constantinople. When Osman awoke and told the sheikh his dream, Edebali interpreted it as a divine prophecy. God had chosen Osman and his descendants to rule the world. He then gave Osman his daughter's hand in marriage, granting the young Ghazi leader immense prestige and legitimacy. This dream became the divine charter for Ottoman conquest. Osman and his warriors began to systematically expand their small beylik. Their strategy was not one of reckless charges, but of patient, persistent pressure. They were masters of the siege, blockading Byzantine towns and fortresses, cutting them off from the outside world, and waiting for them to surrender. This method was known as Gaza, a holy struggle, but it was also a pragmatic enterprise. Osman welcomed everyone to his cause: Turkic nomads, Persian scholars, Byzantine renegades, and Christian mercenaries. He built a state that was tolerant and adaptable, incorporating the administrative techniques of the more settled civilizations he was conquering. In 1326, after a long blockade, Osman's son and successor, Orhan, captured the major Byzantine city of Bursa. This was a pivotal moment. The Ottomans now had a true capital city, a base from which to organize a more formal state. Orhan established the first Ottoman mints, created a professional salaried army, and began to build the mosques, schools, medreses, and public baths that were the hallmarks of an Islamic civilization. Bursa, nestled at the foot of a snowy Mount Uludağ, transformed under his rule from a provincial Byzantine town into a vibrant Ottoman capital, its new domes and minarets glistening in the bright, warm sunlight. The next great leap came in 1354. A Byzantine civil war and a convenient earthquake allowed Orhan's son, Suleiman Pasha, to seize the fortress of Gallipoli on the European side of the Dardanelles Strait. The Ottomans now had a permanent foothold in Europe. From this beachhead, the floodgates of conquest opened into the Balkans. Orhan's successor, Murad I, was a relentless campaigner and a brilliant state builder. He captured the great city of Adrianople, Edirne, in Thrace, and made it his new European capital. Situated in a snowy, sun-drenched plain, Edirne was strategically positioned to command the conquest of the Balkans. It was Murad who institutionalized one of the most famous and formidable elements of the Ottoman military, the Janissaries, Yeniçeri, or New Soldier. This elite infantry corps was formed through the Devshirme system, a levy in which young Christian boys were taken from the Balkan provinces, converted to Islam, and raised in a ferociously disciplined and loyal environment to serve the Sultan alone, forbidden to marry, and possessing no loyalties other than to their comrades and their master. The Janissaries became the most effective and feared standing army in Europe. Murad pushed Ottoman power deep into the Balkans, crushing a coalition of Serb and Bosnian forces at the legendary Battle of Kosovo in 1389. Though Murad himself was killed during or after the battle, the victory shattered Serbian power and cemented Ottoman control over the region for the next 500 years. His son Bayezid I earned the nickname Yildirim, the Thunderbolt, for the incredible speed of his campaigns. He swept through the remaining Balkan states and besieged Constantinople itself. In 1396, a massive crusading army of French, German, and Hungarian knights, the flower of European chivalry, marched to relieve the city. Bayezid met them at Nicopolis on the Danube. In a stunning victory, the disciplined Ottoman army, with its elite Janissaries and superior tactics, annihilated the proud but reckless Crusader knights. Bayezid now seemed unstoppable, the master of Anatolia and the Balkans. But just as he stood at the pinnacle of his power, a catastrophe struck from the east. A new world conqueror, the Turco-Mongol Emir Timur, known in the west as Tamerlane, had forged a vast empire in Central Asia. A dispute over territory led to war. In 1402, at the Battle of Ankara, Timur's massive army, with its terrifying war elephants, met Bayezid's forces. The battle was an unmitigated disaster for the Ottomans. Their Anatolian vassals deserted, and Bayezid himself was captured. The Thunderbolt, the terror of Europe, was humiliated, allegedly kept in a cage by Timur until his death a year later. The Ottoman state, which had seemed so invincible, completely shattered. Bayezid's sons plunged the empire into a devastating 11-year civil war known as the Ottoman Interregnum. The state that Osman, Orhan, and Murad had so carefully built seemed destined to collapse like so many other short-lived steppe empires. But the foundations they had laid, particularly the powerful Janissary Corps and the state apparatus in the Balkans, proved remarkably resilient. After a decade of fratricidal warfare, one of Bayezid's sons, Mehmed I, emerged victorious. He painstakingly stitched the shattered empire back together, defeating his brothers and resubjugating the Anatolian beyliks. His reign was one of cautious diplomacy and reconstruction. He became known as the second founder of the Ottoman state. His son Murad II continued this work of consolidation, fighting off new crusades in the Balkans and cementing Ottoman rule. By the mid-15th century, the Ottoman Empire had recovered from the brink of annihilation. It was once again a powerful, unified, and expansionist state. It controlled nearly all of Anatolia and most of the Balkans, and now its young, brilliant, and fiercely ambitious new Sultan, Mehmed II, turned his eyes to the prize that had tantalized his ancestors for a century, the city of the world's desire, the last remnant of the Roman Empire, the golden city that stood in the way of their ultimate dream, Constantinople.